Okay, so I'm definitely ready for this. All right, so I have everything up. You guys ready for me to hit the play button?
Yep.
Sure thing.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, let's do it.
All right, here.
All right, everyone, welcome to Nintendo Switch. Thanks for the memories, the send-off panel.
Did what I could for the editing. Oh, can you not?
I cannot, because I'm watching in the Discord.
We are going to be talking about 8 years of the Nintendo
well,
Switch.
I hear it.
Yeah,
I hear it.
Do you see like a little like speaker thing? Are you on mobile or PC?
Oh, got it. Okay, my bad. Now I
Yeah,
get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm ShellshockPrime. I'm Peter. I go by he/they pronouns.
Yep.
I stream on Twitch. My first game on Switch is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and my favorite game is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
I was having it just like he's like right there.
Yep.
Hey guys, I'm Sylverstone Khandr. He/they pronouns. Moderator and artist on Switch and our Wii U. Also admin Switch Play NYC. My very first Switch game was Breath of the Wild, and my favorite Switch game of all time is Splatoon 2.
A good game. Really good game.
Yeah. There's my rules.
Hello, I'm OneOneTwo. I'm a moderator on the ARM Mega Man subreddit. The very first Switch game I got was actually Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. Because
It's a solid one. That's a solid choice.
I got
It
the
really
Switch
was.
in April of 2017, and that's because I didn't want any of the games at launch because I played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, and I had to get it a week early before Mario Kart game came out, which was the actual first game I wanted. So I was like, I have a week with no games. Now what do I do? So I got Shovel Knight, and that's why it was my first. My favorite Switch game, Super Mario Odyssey, one of the best 3D platformers of all time.
You know, it's funny. I feel like we like barely talked about like indie games on the platform.
We barely
Well,
did.
it's better than the fact that we didn't talk about Smash like at all. I still can't.
Yeah.
believe how
We actually kind of whiffed on that.
Vegan pronouns are very important. I also used to be a moderator.
Spoiler, we also didn't mention Fire Emblem.
Oh yeah, we didn't.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
my
Oh
first Switch
boy.
game was OneOneTwo Switch.
Yeah.
Minutes before getting into Breath of the Wild.
This one, like once the Switch got like got some representation.
It did.
I was like ignoring that.
I still haven't played everybody 1-2 Switch, but I've heard it's not good.
My favorite Switch
It's
game.
okay with the right people.
Third Ron then.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I have it. It's all right.
Oh, I should have planned better. It could have been our last video before the Switch 2 launched.
Yeah.
It happens.
My favorite Nintendo game.
You only need
Odyssey,
99
I
other
think,
people to make it
refined
the
Mario
best
as far
possible
as
version.
First 3D goes.
Right.
Yep.
To enjoy it. I can't wait for Donkey Kong Odyssey in July.
Odyssey.
My name is Ezra
not wrong.
and my pronouns are he, him, excitedly. My first game, as you'll hear during this panel, I am into all the Nintendo gimmicks and that are how gimmicky. So as soon as I heard about feeling the HD rumble and the balls rolling around inside the Joy-Con, I had to try one Switch way
Yep.
before Breath of the Wild. My favorite, though, at the moment is Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah.
Nice. Also, so are Silver and I the only ones who had not done like a speaking panel before?
I would say yes, because like I know Max had done stuff for like Mega Man panel, and Pete had been on the the Labo panel before, and like the others as well.
Yep.
And Chris Ashton did both Labo panels.
Yeah.
Nice.
There was
There was a QR code here.
in Pete's case and then last year's Labo panel in mine.
Right.
Yep.
Very carefully. Very carefully. All right, everyone good?
I'm having issues on my end. Am I?
So, before the
Doesn't seem like it.
Switch, we have
Well, hold on. Let me.
first and foremost.
I'm gonna pause real quick. All right. Encoding overload. Consider turning down video
Oh
settings.
no.
Yeah,
So what do I need? All right. Let's
I-
fix that real quick.
Yeah, if anything, let me also grab that video real quick and see if I
Like
can
time
scrub some
frames
of
and
that.
stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Apparently on my end, just all right. So we'll have Silver do it. All right. So
what part are you at, Pete?
we just finished introducing ourselves.
Okay. So
All
that
right.
was. All right, so basically like at the 3DS point. So
Yeah, we just finished introducing ourselves. Yeah.
All right, wonderful.
And now I'm apparently dropping frames. All right. So
yeah,
right.
I understand. Like usually with that, it can be like a little dicey. All right, let's share screen. Here we go. 720p.
Yeah. Hold on a moment.
All right. You guys do see this, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Apparently, my stream is frozen.
Oof,
oh, jeez.
What?
Frozen.
Oof.
Yeah, give me a. I think that kind of overloaded it a bit. Let me pop out the Discord real quick.
Yeah. I'll adjust on the fly here.
Yeah. Oh my god! Like, what the hell was that about?
That was not good.
Yeah. Again, like sometimes these things can happen when you're broadcasting. Like all these things can go nutty.
It sure could. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me just. It looks all right. All right for everyone in chat. Let me know if everything is fine.
Also, Pete, I'd say check on your end if you have the Twitch inspector site.
All right, I'll check in just a minute. Just want to make sure that this is.
You are okay. You are looking stable. But like, just says like you're refreshed. Nothing still. You are stabilizing though on my end.
Yep. I don't know how that happened here.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. Like it's sometimes it can be like real framey like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I guess because you're watching a video and you're streaming and you're technically also streaming to Discord at the same time. So that might be a bunch of stuff happening at once.
Yeah, Pete, I'll send you this link real quick just to quickly monitor your setting. Oh, that setting, but like just your bitrate, I guess. You can quickly take a look at it and like see if it's like stable now.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. That I just can't believe that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. We got plenty. We got plenty of time.
All right. Everything seems stable now, but like, it was like 3 minutes of it just acting up. All right. There we go. All right. Everything should be stable. All right. Except this fly needs to get the fuck out of here.
That's not stable at all.
All right. Okay.
All right. I'm gonna hit play.
All right. Let's go.
Before the Nintendo Switch, we had 2 different platforms. First and foremost, we had the Nintendo 3DS,
a lot of 3DS love.
Successor to the DS came out in February of 2011.
Oh, you're not streaming on Discord anymore. Okay. Actually, I can just. I'll go to your. I'll go to your Twitch chat.
Came out in 249.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very low 30.
Wait, do you not see Ryan Max?
6 months later,
I can see it. Yeah, I got it.
Dropped the price to 170.
Yeah, Silver took over.
Yeah, I had to take over because it was overloading shelves.
Oh, good. I got it.
I would argue in general the 3DS was pretty successful, and I definitely really like the console. But one thing I find very interesting is, man, especially compared to the Switch and even the Switch 2, the launch lineup of the 3DS was terrible. They had very, very.
It's part of the reason they had to do the ambassador program, wasn't it? Along with when they had the price drop out.
And then I dropped in the Steel Diver reference.
I apologize to anyone who's a fan of like Pilot Wings or Steel Diver, but like, come on, I'm not wrong here.
Pilot Wings and Nintendo 2000 cast and Street Fighter 4, and that was it for the launch.
It was Street Fighter all the way for me.
And Mario Kart
Rip Mega Man Legends 3.
Nintendo launch.
It's only got 18.99 million worldwide.
It's funny, the Mega Man Legends 3 thing for me was definitely kind of a double bummer. Didn't think about it much at the time, but we started our podcast, like the D-pad began that month.
Speaking of Wii U,
Really?
We were like psyched to have Mega Man Legends 3 to cover for like our second episode was going to focus on it.
the Wii U came out in
It's a bad time.
2012. It started off okay.
Yeah, but you can hold first. I remember that game.
Matched the success of the Wii.
Like
The
a
Wii U came out and made like 2 flies on a collision course.
Huh.
It launched for $299, $349, human Nintendo Land. But
Yep.
the Wii U did, however.
Yeah, the 299 one was the white Wii U.
The basic version, yeah.
The Wii U, there is no Switch really. Yeah. So basically,
100%.
So true.
Wii U pretty much crawled
Nor would there be Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
And most Nintendo's
You might take me so far as like I didn't realize my voice was like that deep sometimes.
The Wii U was known for the off-TV.
You have the butteriest, bassiest voice. When I was editing, I was like, oh man.
That mic definitely did me a favor.
Anyone excited for Nintendo Switch 2 game share needs to thank the Wii U right now.
I do think the Wii U in general laid the groundwork for a lot of the Switch. And like, yes, I get it. The third-party support for this thing was absolute garbage. But in general, like, a lot of the first-party games are games I think that people look fondly on, like Xenoblade Chronicles X, Super Mario Maker, Mario Kart 8 is one of my favorite games ever.
I am curious if we're gonna get another Mario Maker now that we get the mouse.
Yeah, no, right?
Please.
Or
That would be the perfect time to do it. Yeah, I have to imagine that.
or did it choose
Yeah.
Nintendo really turned towards the indie developers out there, the Nindies, back then. This is what
the
May
Nindies.
someone
Here we
call
go.
them out.
Yep.
Generation games like Rainbow, for example. Like, this is where the things start to turn towards, good favor for the eShop.
Yeah. Big shout out to is anyone here an Affordable Space Adventures enjoyer in the audience?
I am.
Was there one in the back?
Such a hidden gem.
I bought it before the shop went down. Still gotta try it.
It's actually pretty damn good. It works great for multiplayer too. It's a very different like texture to it.
Yep.
I got we got the devs for like an AMA back on our Wii U. They're awesome people.
Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
This console
Technically, like Max has it in the correct the correct orientation because my left Joy-Con was red.
we have 8 years.
I'm wearing the same shirt.
Switch.
I think that's because my OLED was one of the red colored
Launched
versions.
on March
Right.
3rd, 2017 at $299.
It is wild that it lasted more than 8 years before being replaced. I know that like they were planning on doing it perhaps a little bit sooner and they've been working on it for years, but 8 years without a replacement is honestly pretty bonkers, especially these days.
Yep.
They wanted the Wii U to be region free, and they couldn't do that. They kept up with their promise to make it region free with the Switch. Right. Region free gaming was kind of really picking up steam at that point, and it was basically a major turning point to allow for all regions to be playing on a single system. Yes.
And I mean, we'll talk about this throughout this panel, but I really want to underscore just how revolutionary it was to be able to take a home console on the go, because for so long, home console gaming was seen as sort of this separate pillar, and that's the word Nintendo used anyways, to handheld gaming. No one really
I had to reference it somewhere because everyone was talking about it at that point.
If I can get it down off the ground, like I'll be very
I
happy.
really do not think gaming is ever going to be the same again after this. It's really hard to go back to playing on a console that is stuck to the TV, at least for me. And I think that a lot of people feel that way, not even just
That's for you, Derek.
but just around the world, especially in places like Japan, where handheld gaming is huge.
It was also really big as well for a very long time, handheld games were kind of seen as an inferior version of whatever you're playing. And there were ports like, say Spider-Man 2 from back when that was everywhere. You have your PS2 version or whatever, and it's awesome and it's great. And then you have your Game Boy Advance version, which is one of the worst licensed games ever made. And it's like, okay, so now
True.
the Switch gives us a chance to get those really great console experiences on the go, which really we're not.
So many messes on the handheld stuff.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Mega Man 5 for Game Boy was arguably better than some of the NES games, though.
It was.
Absolutely.
So kind of, sort of, but there were always limitations until the Switch.
4 was pretty good too. Not quite as good.
And the Switch certainly has its own.
I think it's definitely on par. I mean, the 5 definitely gets all the love because of the star droids, but 4's got some really good levels.
Yeah.
Independent motion, no wire connecting them now. But it was also the start of Nintendo becoming a little more standardized with the rest of the game hardware industry.
Yep.
People cheered for USB-C charging on the Switch tablet.
Oh, holy shit, for real.
I remember like when I
So happy about that,
people
yeah.
were very happy about that.
Continue with now they're catching up.
Slightly not helped though by them needing like specific like high voltage requirements or whatever for it, but they seem to be correcting that over time.
Their handheld and
I
Do we
remember
know how
buying.
big the power brick will be for Switch 2? Because it's gotten smaller over the years, but it's
I heard
still
it's a
a little
60-watt
big.
charger.
this is here to stay. huge.
I hope it's smaller.
something
I hope
that
the form factor on the charger is smaller. It's just
Yeah.
so
That's what I
bulky.
meant, the physical size.
Yeah.
You would have expected to see on a home
It needs to be
console,
easy to fit into like power strips.
see on a handheld.
Yeah,
Yeah.
power strips
Yeah.
and like luggage too if it's going to be portable.
Right.
Yep.
And I know for a fact I'm not using any third party things until like they're like properly tested.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware about using it with like any third party docks.
Let's go to the next slide. So Nintendo has taken their active franchises to the next level with games like Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Kirby and Forgotten Land, just to name a few. But the thing about that is that because people have talked about how they wanted like each of these video game series to grow, and after seeing games that they felt were safe sequels for years, they decided to take risks and try completely new things, and it completely paid off for them in the long run because these games have been their respective best-selling games. Not only that, they've also achieved mass critical acclaim.
Rick and I both mentioned this, but like Super Mario Odyssey in general is probably one of the most important Mario games ever, in my opinion, and like especially for a franchise as huge as Mario. Just the openness of Super Mario Odyssey and the depth of the tech that was available, not just in terms of like, oh, the worlds are huge, but like there's so many movement options. It just feels fun to move around, and I feel like when a platforming game achieves something like that, we're not even just going to get the collectibles, the moves in this case, is fun, but moving around, exploring, in and of itself, when that's fun, you really nailed on something special. And the capture mechanic, genuinely one of the most genius gameplay ideas ever. I love
100%.
that. I hope it's in
Yeah.
future
I hope Cappy is not just a
Genius,
one-off.
Kirby
That
and
is
Forgotten
way too
Land
good to
have the
only have
same
one
design,
game based on.
basically copied and
Yeah.
verbatim with no
No, I completely get it.
It's also just the most. It's arguably the best movement that he's ever had outside of 64, and probably more so than at this point.
Yeah.
I would say so at least.
100% agree with that.
Skyward Sword, a game that famously was like really restrictive on what you could do, famously had stuff cut at the last second. The entire Sky World was like slashed ribbons. A unified like land realm was planned, and they didn't do any of that. So being able to take the
that was true.
and make this
All right.
Such a bummer to hear about that. Like Zelda so frequently has cut after cut after cut, and it's like, guys, come on, like actually follow through on some of these ideas.
And it really
Right.
Yeah.
kind of kick off open world gaming as a popular genre between that and the Horizon series, which the first entry launched on the same day. We really wound up with a huge wealth of open world experiences just from how impressive Breath of the Wild wanted to be.
I definitely think all three of these games, and also there's a few other games that were not with Sony that we were actually talking about earlier. Like Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a fantastic example of this, where like
Oh, yeah, Wonder.
people are tired of new Super Mario Bros. After 12 years. I admittedly was actually not one of those people, but
Yeah, I feel like this is the slide where I should have at least briefly mentioned Fire Emblem for Three Houses. Although I know that not having the weapon triangle is a
nailed that
sticking point.
idea of just wonder. Of
Yeah.
every single level being something completely different. I've told the story before to other people, but literally every time I entered a level in that game, I had a giant grin on my face, and in my head I was thinking, okay, Nintendo, what's next? What crazy thing do you have right now? And I literally screamed when I saw the freaking metal cap from Super Mario 64.
That is by far my favorite
Yeah,
one.
Mario
I
Wonder
still
is
can't
another
believe
example
they
that's
did
not on
that.
the slide of like a Nintendo franchise that really, like a Nintendo genre that was really elevated from the Switch.
I'd also say too with Wonder, a lot of people would also assume with 2D Mario that with Mario Maker being a thing, it's like, well, you guys can just make them now, so why even make a new 2D Mario? And Nintendo had to basically redefine the 2D Mario like landscape for people to show them like, hey, we still got the juice.
Didn't they literally build a Mario World sized number of like Mario Maker levels as like an adventure mode at one point?
I think they
That was
did.
for Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, it was like
story mode.
story mode, and also you can make your own world as well.
Yeah, which that was actually super rad.
The next slide, which is Breath of the Wild has evolved open world games. It absolutely has, because after having open world games going into completely new heights with games like Skyrim, we would eventually move on to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which, as you mentioned earlier, it would come out like a couple of days after Horizon Zero Dawn did.
and then like we would start seeing more games take inspiration from Breath of the Wild. Even the sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, took some inspiration.
I think this is where like my brain was on the fritz for a second.
Because with that game, like the first
that happens, especially when you're doing a live panel.
Absolutely.
Other open world games come before, but now like just to have Breath of the Wild being a game that influences so many different games afterwards, it's pretty wild to me. No pun intended.
Wild.
That's really the first Zelda game that sort of took after Zelda 1 in the respect that it was so much more open and you could sort of go in any order you want and do the levels in any order you want. For the most part, there's still some restrictions, but I just find it so interesting that it took that long for Nintendo to try and revisit that idea again. And not only that, they were very deliberate when they were sort of unveiling the game for the first time by saying, oh, we are going back to Zelda's roots. We are doing the Zelda 1 thing again, where it is more open, it's not linear, you can do any of the dungeons in any order with some caveats, of course. You could go to right to the final boss if you want to. Would I recommend that? No, because I tried that and I got my butt kicked immediately, but you can if you want to.
Even that shot that's on the screen there is literally an homage back to the NES game's own art at the time, too.
A little salty that Mario Odyssey didn't win Game of the Year in 2017, but considering how impactful Breath of the Wild was for open world games, I get it.
It's understandable, like honestly. Like for me, I think playing Breath of the Wild 2 also kind of ruined other open world games for me. Like I remember, I'm not sure what game it was I was playing, but I was trying to like climb up a wall in that game. I'm like, wait a minute, this is Breath of the Wild. I can't climb up this. Like it's impossible to do that. Like for a time, like it felt like games like open world at that time were kind of a step behind. But there is a pre-Breath of the Wild and post-Breath of the Wild kind of era in games where you can tell that they really like learned a lot of the systems from the engines the team made. And I want to also like throw out there that like really like how do I put this? Like it's so hard to like have to be like this how much you can do in the game. Like it really makes you feel like just like you go anywhere. Like they really took like, oh, you see that mountain like way over there? You can go there. Like mind blowing.
Yeah. But in my head, it felt like I spent some longer like dilly dallying there, but like it's like a lot quicker that I recovered.
Yeah, no, that was right to the point.
See the start and
Yeah.
end of Zelda in a lot of ways. Like Breath of the Wild, you saw an immediate like rush of games that started doing open world stuff. Some, in fact, using mechanics that seemed a little bit overly close to how Breath of the Wild was doing. And I want to say it was Genshin Impact that had like skill plot style stuff.
That game never came out on Switch at all, did it?
It was supposed to.
It looks familiar.
You think it's gonna be on Switch too? Like I know they're teasing Nintendo, but like I don't think it's gonna be.
I don't think so.
I think maybe the moment's passed.
We have too many of
Yeah.
them, and
Also,
we
1
can't
second.
play them all. So please stop doing open world games all the time. Tears of the Kingdom on them selling fantastically well as well. I think it was a little bit under Breath of the Wild, which makes sense. People are getting a little tired of it, but they really did a very impressive job of taking an already open world and somehow opening it more. The verticality between the sky and
Well, they just had to punch a bunch of holes into the cliffs to make caves. That's how you open it up more.
Yeah,
the caves on the surface I don't think get enough love as like a major element of Tears of the Kingdom that were just fully not present in the first one. I thought I was very charmed by the way they connected some caves into some of the depths areas too.
Yeah.
We got Metroid Dread. We got Emil the Smiling Man.
The one the FTC like banned away.
The
targets.
Hey, there's always gonna. That game is amazing, so I totally get it.
Like we got remember Trace Memory for the DS?
Yeah.
So we ended up getting that as well.
I just had to change scenes for a moment because I was just blowing my nose.
I got you. Right.
We would get them both.
Another Code Recollection isn't quite a direct remake of the DS game.
No, it's not a one-to-one remake because they did change a lot of things to make it like work on the Switch.
Adore all of them for very different reasons. But Metroid Dread,
I think that's also like it's also genius because like they call it recollection. You know, it's like recollection of memories, but it's not one-to-one.
It works.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So like I think someone told me that on Reddit and like it like blew my mind. I'm like, you know, that makes like a lot of sense.
Yep.
Because I played Trace Memory and that back to back, and I'm like, yeah, it was very different.
Oh yeah, the Metroid Federation Force outrage. I remember that.
I get to play it soon. I've never played it before.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I want to try, but like I'm like I just need people to play with.
But the developers at Mercury Steam absolutely nailed.
I'll have to let you know when I'm getting close. Maybe we can figure something out.
While still playing like a Metroid game, it feels like an evolution of the concept. I love the ending.
Oh wait, the servers are down. Wait a minute. Shit.
And Emio the Smiling Man, I only played Famicom Detective Club for the first time like this year or last year.
We'll have to check if Pretendo got to that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know everyone was already banging about that, but like it's been a little bit slow lately.
And this game basically made me go, okay, guess I'm playing a ton of different novels now because I love this. And F-099, what is there to say? I mean, that's like
F-099.
game. I will go round after round after round, getting annoyed at people picking Big Blue every single time. Stop doing that.
I swear.
But yeah, I love F-099. I think it's because I don't think there's that.
Honestly, it's a rare opportunity for F-Zero to be like at the top of a given like cluster of games too.
And I really just do think that all three of these games are emblematic of a previous one we had about like evolving franchises to the next level, while also taking these older franchises and just giving them the love and attention they deserve.
I think what makes each of them work is that because they've been out of commission for a while, they weren't afraid to grow up with the audience. Metroid Dread is the most intensive Metroid in terms of like, you really gotta learn the controls, you gotta nail every single move. It's possible to get through the entire game without taking a single bit of damage, and that's why they added Dread mode later on. And then MEO, Famicom Detective was absolutely dormant, right?
I still have to do the whole Famicom Detective Club series.
Really good.
Even long. So, okay, all those people grew up with that. They're old enough to handle a more mature game. One warranted an M rating if you go into the epilogue that I can't spoil.
Oh yeah, no, that epilogue is legitimately terrifying. I will not say another word about this, but if you think you know scary games, try that epilogue. It honestly, like, kept me awake in bed for the entire rest of the night.
And in F-Zero's case, it's like...
I'm serious about that.
When Nintendo gets real scary.
That epilogue, man, it is hard to talk. It is hard to like explain it, but it is just ridiculous.
Yes.
It's free with MS.
And I still have to do Dread mode.
I just can't believe they went there in the MEO epilogue.
I think it's the first time I've looked away from a screen in a video game because I was worried I wouldn't like what I saw.
Unfortunately, you are right. You were right to look away because you probably wouldn't have liked what you saw, but it was good storytelling, man. Such good storytelling.
It was only for like a second. I still got the gist.
Already kicked around there, and then Donkey Kong Bonanza. Folks have noticed that F-Zero has been getting a lot more attention, very quietly, little bits and pieces between F-Zero 99, and now we're getting F-Zero GX on the Switch 2 game.
Don't we have like every F-Zero on NSO now?
I think there's one that's missing.
The franchise for very, very long.
Like there's like a Japanese exclusive one, but other
It's
than that,
AX, but that's an arcade game. I've actually played it. They had it at Mag Fest, but I mean that's just GX with different tracks. And you can unlock those tracks in GX anyways.
Yeah. And we're getting Rhythm Heaven back.
I'm psyched for that. I love that series.
Remember Clubhouse games on the DS? Yeah, that's getting game share as well on Switch. But it's not just limited to first-party Nintendo games, you see, because third parties have also received revivals. Like we got Mega Man 11, Sonic Mania, and even Prince of Persia.
I get to try out the demo for Mega Man 11 at E3 in 2018, and it was just like, oh god. It was amazing to get to go and try it out, but it was like, great, but I have to wait months to be able to get my hands on this.
I mean, it was was announced and released pretty quickly. I thought it was only 3 months out after they announced it.
Yeah, Mega Man.
I had to.
I'm wearing my hat this way right now, but there's a reason I have this pin on. I mean, it's Mega Man is
One thing I see
some piano, and Mega Man 11 has an entire alternate soundtrack that's all piano.
It's really good. That alternate soundtrack.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like that.
Restarted the whole franchise. I mean, it was literally dead.
Which
for
one
like
was it
8
that I
years.
liked?
And just seeing Mega Man 11, I almost jumped out of my seat.
I
That's
think
what
That was
it was
like last man stage.
just in terms of like
He was
I
never
really love the transformations that they have in that game, like the visual differences for Mega Man. Obviously, super inspired by because there's the team that did Battle Network and Star Force that worked on 11, and you can tell there were a few very specific things. And I would love to see interpretations of the older ones like that too.
Yeah.
Right.
Something that Akira Kitamura, the creator of Mega Man, said was fundamental to the franchise. The fact that that was in the game made me so unbelievably happy. Not even to mention like Sonic Mania. The last 2D Sonic game we were talking about this beforehand was like Sonic 4 Episode 2. That would have been so
Sonic Mania, arguably the best Sonic game in decades.
Yep.
Honestly, I think it definitely was. Not even close.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sonic Mania Plus.
And also the fact that Christian Whitehead and like Taxman worked on this, like, you know, legendary Sonic fan game developers.
Yeah, it's like 2D Sonic, you have Mania. 3D Sonic, you have both Frontiers and Shadow Generation.
Yeah. So as for Christian Whitehead and folks, it was super interesting learning just how far they had come. So, like, I used to be on the Sonic Retro forums back when they were Sonic Cult and the associated stuff in the early 2000s, and they were already kind of household names in a very tiny little corner of the internet, so it's crazy to see recognizable names from back then suddenly making these huge games.
Yeah,
I remember the Mania announcement, and like when they flashed Whitehead's name, I'm like, oh, they're really they're going there.
Yep. Like I remember just listening to a lot of the remixes from Desilets that he's done over the years on YouTube.
He just put up a Flying Battery Zone one, I think today or maybe last night.
Nice.
Really, really good mix.
I've seen a couple games on the show floor today.
Yeah, Prince of Persia, I still have yet to play Lost Crown, but I've heard nothing but great things about it.
I would definitely like to play that game in the future.
Yeah.
It can be really satisfying to juggle enemies around or to perform platforming challenges in these special areas to get collectibles or upgrade your abilities.
It's like people seem to agree that if you love Metroid Dread and you get Metroid Dread with Metroid, this is basically that for Prince of Persia.
Not to mention the Shinobi coming out as
At least from what I've heard, I haven't played
coming
anything
out on
yet.
Switch as well.
The platforming abilities are quite different between the two, and obviously Prince of Persia is more about melee combat than ranged combat.
Right.
Which was a Switch time exclusive for a few months, but it's a really good game and a very good revival for Ghosts and Goblins. So
Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, because it was a time exclusive for Switch for a while.
Hey,
Caitlin.
Hey, Caitlin.
Yeah, we got the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. The fact that that was even announced during a Nintendo Direct was mind-blowing. I did not see that coming at all.
Yep.
That actually segues very well to our next slide.
Exactly, because like there's like different video game series that you can play on the Switch.
My Nightbot just posted an ad.
All the games, or you're playing
Like an ad or
like
2D Metroid. You can play everything.
Yeah,
from the original
what the hell?
Metroid all the way up.
Wait, what?
It didn't make it into the stream chat, but it's some link to some website. I don't.
Is it that third pillar one that you see right there?
Yes.
That's mine. That's me.
Okay. Oh, so that's okay. Maybe that's your Nightbot then, or something. I was just like, what the hell just happened?
It's me.
Okay, that's fine.
I forget like our Nightbots will still be active in the share chat. It's still a little
and they
weird
like cross over and stuff too.
Yeah.
I was just so confused because I'm like, my Nightbot doesn't do that.
Mine does.
Yeah, it's like I don't use Nightbot. I just have my own stuff.
I'm working on deprecating it because like right now I'm juggling like 3 bots and I'm trying to consolidate everything into mix it up or streamer bot.
Yeah,
I've just been kind of lazy to like consolidate everything.
That's fair.
I gotta try to play my own at some point too.
But yeah, going back to this, the fact that like you could play like there's so many video game series that you can play either all of the series or most of on Switch is just amazing.
Absolutely, some huge ones. Yeah, Sonic 2D and Mega Man in particular have just a crazy number of games in there.
Xenoblade Chronicles fans were the big winners of the Switch generation.
Oh yeah,
especially considering where they started.
Yeah,
because they're going to be guaranteed eating good for like the next decade on that.
Yeah, like most 2D Sonic games, most Mega Man games, pretty much most of the 2D Metroid games.
We need a proper remake of Mega Man and Bass Challenger from the future. We need to rescue it.
Yes.
Did anybody go to the silk posting panel earlier?
I'm still mad I missed that panel.
It was good. It was really good. It's up on it's up on
YouTube, right?
Yeah, they just put it up a couple days ago.
Oh my god! Yeah.
I missed Dan Olsen's other panel I was also interested in. It was too early on Friday for me to catch, but
yeah.
I got you.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Like yeah, because you could play all the Donkey Kong Country games on the Switch. Well, not the GBA ports, but yeah.
Is 64 on the on Nintendo Classics already?
Not yet. It's on Wii U, which is interesting, but like it's not on Switch yet.
Yeah.
It's probably the next N64 game. Probably.
It's gonna happen.
We'll see. Yeah, Arcade Archives, yes.
Oh yeah, the fucking GBA ports of Donkey Kong Country.
The Switch has a lot of collections as a whole, like so many.
Yeah, really, a lot.
And again, on the go, you can play all this wherever you want. You don't have to be tethered to your TV. That is incredible.
Exactly.
Metal Gear Solid.
Or streaming from your PS5.
Sorry, finally,
Tetris Forever. We had to shout that out.
We're kind of in an era where when it comes to games, especially old games, we're kind of
this is the patented Rick bring the mood down moment.
It's such an important topic, game preservation, and there's been, it feels like an endless battle of whether some games are just going to vanish forever. The Wii U and 3DS eShops went down, 2 years ago? I think somewhere around there. There's a lot of games that are just gone
Time
forever
flies.
unless they get ported, and the dev teams that made them want to do something with it. There are games that are lost functionally forever. And so having all these franchises getting retro collections, really faithful ports too, that's been kind of, it's important to put that out there too, that these are really, really good ports in nearly all cases. So being able to keep that history around is so important at a time where, if anybody had a PS4 with PT on
it,
watching that just disappear.
I think I had PT, but like my PS4, I think it was my brother's, it broke.
For better or for worse, being deleted off of people's PlayStations, like this stuff, is very fragile in a lot of ways. So having them support this, in this way over time, I think is an incredibly important thing for these.
Yeah, I gotta get Karateka and the Llama Soft collection.
And
also,
those batteries.
I only have Atari 50. I want to get the others.
I only have Tetris
Forever.
Forever.
You may not have a functioning cartridge anymore if you don't replace the battery. So having this stuff is I think, really, really important.
Exactly.
I think they started that with the SNK40 of collection as well, but maybe.
With the Nintendo Switch, you have
all right, yeah, we got the Labo, we got the Game Builder Garage,
and the Game Builder Garage.
Okay, the part where
this is my thing.
Yeah, this was definitely your
that was your section.
So Nintendo Labo was
I did get Game Builder Garage. I just didn't play for too long.
To say the least. But the big part is that at the end of every Labo game, you can go to the Discover section, you can learn about how all this stuff works, and it was part of Nintendo's push to get more young folks involved with the programming side of things, because the game industry, it needs new blood, and it needs that new blood to know what they're doing when it comes to the basic programming.
It also needs to stop laying off the old blood.
Surviving and stop cheating. So far.
Yeah.
And Nintendo Labo was a great
great way to teach that and encourage people to build their own peripherals. They tried to get it into schools, and I wish that I was at my current job when they were doing that, because my current job would have been all over getting these into the classroom and working with the kids to teach this stuff. Unfortunately, they've killed it off since then, and my whole job was not going to do that. Game Builder Garage is much more direct, though. It just takes the programming aspects of Labo, turns it into its own game, and it attempts to teach you through a system called checkpoints, which, to steal a line from one of my own videos, it is not a place where you respawn if you die of boredom during the lecture. But instead, it is the opportunity to go into the broken code of a game and make a quick fix and learn why it was broken in the first place. If you look at the Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour trailer and you look at like the text boxes for how they're showing off how the Switch 2 works, that Labo DNA is still very much in there. It's basically the same thing. So while this product line,
I actually just saw the review trailer today in Japanese. I think it's pretty worth for that $10.
Yep.
It looks very, very well done.
So update on that. I forget if I said this in the panel, but I actually already pre-ordered Welcome Tour, and it cost me a grand total of 64 cents because I had a ton of gold points left.
Gold points, yeah. I remember you brought that up. We were like walking and talking.
Yeah.
Actually, didn't even
classic Castlevania collection for a penny.
Same idea, yeah.
It actually did not even occur to me to pre-order Welcome Tour.
You can pre-order the Switch 2 games, but obviously you can't download them to your console. That said, I would personally, if you're planning on getting Deltarune specifically, I would honestly advise not doing that because the messaging on how to upgrade from Switch 1 to Switch 2 is a little weird. I was just getting the Switch 1 version first, and then transfer your demo save data, then transfer that to the Switch 2s.
I'm still maintaining the possibly naive and vain stance of I'm just gonna wait till the game is done, and then I'm gonna just like zero in and like go nuts on it.
Fair enough.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, who here has watched a lot of Nintendo Directs?
Oh yeah, the Nintendo Directs.
My favorite parts
I
of
have.
the panel. I'm so glad we brought this up. The Directs
Yeah.
really did the Switch era. They were cool in the Wii U era, but like they were incredible in the Switch era in terms of their games that they presented.
They definitely reshaped how a lot of the like marketing of video games works nowadays.
Yeah.
So many different
I told people just like after the panel, but like really good call putting the Attica frame in there because I think like Attica really was a big part of like the industry Switch.
Yeah, that was a good move.
Yeah, it's like because I was trying to think of what I wanted to go with. I went with GBG from Metroid Dread because I thought that their reaction to that was amazing, and of course I had to put in Maximilian Duke's reaction to the Marvel chapter. I had to
And that's a more recent one too, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's become super iconic. I do love the edit where he's speaking out over Super Mario Party Jamboree. That's very funny.
As a concept is probably one of the most genius things.
Yeah, but putting Attica there, like I wanted to at least honor him in some way because
that was a very good addition because, as you said, he really made Switch 2 Directs like hype in a way that very few other creators did. And frankly, if he were here, I think he would be honored.
he would, yes.
And it really sort of created this sort of...
Because I felt it would not be right if I didn't honor him in any way. I felt like we had to honor him. We had to have something for him.
This was the best place to put it for sure.
Yes.
But it was the Switch really that took advantage of that hype culture, that react culture on YouTube.
This one's for you, Desmond.
And by the way, shout out to all of these channels, Good Vibes Gaming, Maximum Indeed, and Rest in Peace, Attica. I mean, these are some of the forebearers of like this sort of react and hype culture, and I honestly, after every single Nintendo Direct, I am one of those people who do go and watch other people's reactions because I love sharing in that hype.
The Smash team really knows how to position their videos. Like that frame that Etika's looking at right now with the Smash Ball and Inkling's eye, it's just like the best possible direction they could have taken it.
I do love the taglines that they do for each of the characters. I really wish I brought this up during the panel, but like the Smash characters getting their own CGI trailers and getting like their own taglines for joining the battle was always a treat.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, like compare it, like, you know, Snake had a pretty decent reveal back in Brawl, but Sonic's was like kind of embarrassing. It was literally like,
yeah, because like that was like Japan's. I was kind of coined because like they dropped it like the dead of night.
Yeah,
and like, I remember waking up and I'm like Sonic's in the game. Like what?
I remember
the trailer doesn't hold anything back for dramatic effect. It's just like, yep, Sonic adventure music. Here's Sonic's feet. Oh yeah, by the way, it's Sonic. It's like, all right.
I also really like the Sakurai presents for each character in the DLC.
Those were very cool.
And so I want one for Kirby Air Riders 2.
Air Riders. I would love to see like just like Air Riders.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to believe that he will do that. He seemed to have really slotted into doing like YouTube-based content in general for like all this stuff. So
I think like Sakurai like benefited the most from the pandemic because like he just like really just settled in and knew like how to like navigate like a lot of the pitfalls of it, like turning his home and everything. You know.
And then
I also wish I brought this up in the panel. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot tonight. I am of the opinion that Masahiro Sakurai on creating games like the YouTube channel is one of the most, honestly, is going to be one of the most important things that a video game creator has done possibly ever, because the amount of information in those videos in an easy to understand and digestible manner is truly mind-boggling, and the amount of effort he put in is beyond commendable. Like I honestly believe that that's going to be a hallmark of this era of Nintendo, is the fact that one of its, you know, most famous creators gave back something to the industry that I don't think will ever truly be measured in terms of magnitude.
100%.
Agreed.
I worked at a career tech school where kids kind of have to do their own research on stuff sometimes, so if any of them are looking into game dev, I am going to point them towards that.
Yes. Have you ever encountered someone using the videos for a project? Because story time, I actually did use a Sakurai video in a university class as evidence once, which was pretty funny.
Not yet.
Yep.
People will be like, hey, where's the Nintendo Direct? Is the Nintendo Direct going to be coming anytime soon? And when it finally does, it hits everyone big.
Is the time between the Switch 1 Direct and the Switch 2 Direct back in April, is that the shortest amount of time we've had between Directs? Because that was like 7 days.
It was, yeah, that
I want to say.
Not if you count games specific to it.
Yeah, like Pokemon Direct definitely had one that was like right next to Nintendo Direct. Sometime in the past year, I think, even. But otherwise, though.
Because I keep forgetting. Like, I remember they did a pre-direct for Wii U, but then they did the live show. So that was kind of the direct.
Gran Turismo, which is hilarious, by the way. But
it's just so wild how well Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold on the Switch.
Those numbers are fucking insane.
It is nuts.
I also would like to apologize to all of the Forza and Gran Turismo fans I insulted right there. That was not meant to be a dig at your franchise. I just find it hilarious that the go-kart game won Racing Game of the Year. Like that is funny to me.
Yeah.
Any other game in the series.
Hey, based on those numbers, the Forza and Gran Turismo fans and Mario Kart fans too.
But then
you have a very good point there.
Which is pretty much on par with a lot of other battle modes from previous Mario Kart games. And
honestly, this is one of the few things I'm disappointed about with World. I'm so sad that there's only 2 battle modes again when 8 looks at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet they're gonna do. I was gonna say I am assuming they're gonna do, even if it's not like a season pass style set of downloads. There's gonna be additional things in there for sure. They might be kind of like feeling it out a little bit too to see like, all right, what are people gravitating towards?
The type of items you want to see in any of the races.
This was a flagship title for one of the models that Nintendo was pushing at the beginning.
Is it weird how, despite being a Wii U game, I honestly associate this more with a Switch?
Not at all. Like,
after all this time, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it's kind of been co-opted on, if I'm being completely honest.
it's the case with almost any game that got moved off the Wii U. There's few, if any, that I think of as Wii U games.
Something that I did a little homework over the weekend in preparation for a couple.
yeah. Because in the case of Breath of the Wild, like it came out at the same time on both Wii U and Switch, but more people associated with the Switch because that's what most people got it on.
And it's a different story from Twilight Princess, where the GameCube version, the one that was on the lower system, was the more, it's the version of the game that was kind of more designed around in the first place. Like they flipped the map for the Wii version because they were like, most people are right-handed.
So it is,
right. But this one didn't have that. So.
Packed in a couple instances, but not quite as often. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe may very well be the single most impressive performance for a game that only got released on a single console.
Yeah.
I also want to underscore how much content this game has, especially post-booster course packs. There are 96 racetracks in this game. That is crazy. I actually, very recently, I did a
not a lot of them that outright suck.
Tracks in a row. That took me so long that I actually had to split it over the course of 2 days.
And realizing that the boost course pass was actually them buying time for Worlds.
Like 5-6 hours.
Probably, yeah.
After they announced Worlds, I just kind of had a feeling.
Yeah. It's one of my
But also, are there any other racing games that have 96 racetracks? I mean, I guess
thinking that,
I can maybe count Tour because it's a mobile game, but I mean on a console.
I'm not sure.
I have to think of usually they top out at maybe 20 to 30 tracks. Gran Turismo is a lot different because they're more realistic with theirs.
Right.
Yep.
It will keep selling, honestly. I don't know how much more it will keep selling until a certain point. Yes.
That's why they call them bank turns.
Yep.
But now it's time to talk about the future.
I mean, Hot Wheels Unleashed gives you a track editor, so there could be more than 90 tracks.
You're not wrong, but
We got to
I
reveal
guess by
back
that
in
logic,
January 16th.
the game with the most amount of Mario levels is Mario Maker, which is technically true, but that's not really the question I was asking, if that makes
We
sense.
got the direct back in April. And now,
Indeed.
how
Well, good
about
for telling me that the
So
how many
close.
of you guys pre-ordered the Nintendo Switch 2?
I would have, but I was busy that day.
They tried to charge me for mine on Friday, and I got the automatic fraud check thing.
Oh no.
And I told it it was fine, but it hasn't tried again since, and now I'm real nervous. My order is still there. It's still a temp hold, but I'm am I going to have to make a trip out to a Walmart or something on Thursday morning?
I'm gonna be picking mine up in person. I got mine at a GameStop, but I'm gonna have to pull a bit of a gambit because, for reference, I live in DC, and the last Metro stops running at midnight. So if I don't make this last bus at 2 a.m., I'm stuck. So bit of a risk, but I'm gonna try.
Good luck.
And you can get that with the bundle for the Switch 2. So,
Oh, thank you, Eric.
Crazy. It's 3 more days.
Yeah, no, we're just getting close to it.
Yeah, less than 3. It's basically 2 and change
It's
now.
basically 2 and change. Yeah.
Games. And I know some people are like, oh, the Nintendo Switch 2 is lost.
I'm specifically doing a short stream Wednesday night so that I can get sleep to go into Thursday.
Honestly, I'm gonna take that advice too. That's good advice.
Well, for the next 2 days, Shell and I will be right outside Nintendo New York, so we'll be until Thursday.
I wish I could join. I wish I'd be out there with you guys.
Because the Switch 1 offers
It's a hoot, I'll tell you that.
exceptions like Doom and stuff like that. The Switch 2, I actually got to play this thing at the Switch 2 experience. Y'all are not ready for games like Cyberpunk and Mario Kart World. They look absolutely phenomenal. And I am
Spend time tomorrow figuring out what I'm doing for that first
At
weekend.
this point, too, also, with the Switch 2 having more
No, I'm just immediately going to do playing Welcome Tour so you don't have to.
Honestly, the best thing I got from the experience was the backpack. The backpack that they gave out with the Switch 2 logo on it it has become extremely practical for me.
I hope they give those out to the people waiting in line.
I have to imagine they would. That seems like something they would do.
The thing is, the shirt I wore at this panel, I got that from Nintendo New York for the Switch 1 midnight launch.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like
Yeah.
I gave away a shirt that they gave me because it's too small.
Oh, whoops. That was
Oh, the
supposed to be
question.
smaller than that. That's okay.
Yep.
For those who came in a little later, we gave a QR code near the beginning of the panel for people to send in questions, so we have those collected.
Yes, on my phone, I promise.
Also, this was like probably the most innovative thing that we did for this panel.
For the record,
to cut down on the cringe Q&A stuff because like I feel like I've had my fill of those during PAX.
yes. So I think that was your idea, Max. Or was it Max or Azra?
I believe that was my idea. Yeah.
No, that was definitely a smart call
Also,
for sure.
Yeah.
I get really self-conscious when I'm like on my phone because I didn't want to look like I was like not interested in the panel or whatever, which is why I was like, no, don't worry, I wasn't being rude. I was trying to read the questions.
Read the questions, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So
His favorite Switch game.
This was one of the best questions because the fact that
That
we
was a
got
good
to
question,
again, the fact that we brought up Room in the Night Sky and not Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is hilarious.
my questions actually stuff. It just didn't hit me that much.
It was so funny. I had like 2 answers, and I could not remember by the time I'd finished what my other answer was.
Yeah.
I had a friend that wanted me to play Room in the Night Sky.
And everyone knew what that game was.
I need Shad to watch this.
I love how you added the icons of the games on the bottom. That is
Right.
awesome.
It was.
Yes, thank you for that.
I didn't have the we didn't have the slides to work with. I'm like, I got to put something on here so that there's a little bit of a visual anchor.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one Switch game that I have ever traded in is Sonic Forces.
I do not
I
blame you.
remember
It's probably not the worst game on this list, but
I saw Cloud
out of what
Gamer
I
like just
It's pretty bad.
I was also pointing to the Sonic cosplay and I was in the crowd.
That's him, yes.
I'm like, sorry, Sonic.
Hey Dragon.
Such a polarized anniversary between Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces.
One Mario game
Yeah.
that just cannot. Let me just take a picture of you. I have 50 hours in Mario Tennis Aces. I have 25 in Mario Golf Super
Oh,
Golf.
yes.
I have
I know what this is
5
going.
in Mario Strikers Battle League. That game is just not.
Yeah. Strikers Battle League.
I am proud of myself for coming up with that. Oh, he
I have a hard time narrowing down one. I can give you 2. The first one being
No idea what the second one was anymore.
Donkey Kong Country Returns HD.
I was like surprised. I'm like, really?
I think part of it wound up for me being like I played Tropical Freeze right after. I was like, oh, this feels so nice.
Right, you jumped from that to, you went backwards basically.
I will say I'm very happy that I came up with that like story of like I have 50 hours in Aces, 25 in Super Rush, and 5 in Battle League. I thought that was a good illustration of like, man, I do not like this game at all.
Oh yeah.
I don't like it so much I forgot about it when I was trying to name mine.
I would even say that's more damning, to be honest with you.
Like I stood by my answer, but yeah, Battle League was a huge regret.
And yes, 1-2 Switch and its sequel are both better.
Oh yeah. Pretty cool question. But
This was a great question, yeah.
But it's like
on the table.
you would think mine was an OLED because of the Joy-Cons, but it wasn't.
Well, because they sold the white Joy-Con separately, correct?
No, they did not. Or maybe in Japan they did, but they
Those were
weren't.
the Tears of the Kingdoms one, weren't they?
This is the 2.0 because
Oh, yeah.
my original
No, I don't think they sold the one because Tears of the Kingdom was separately.
reading issues, so I traded it into a GameStop and transferred everything over. And this is not an OLED, but a friend of mine gave me the white Joy-Cons for my birthday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you answered my question for me in the past.
I brought 2 Switches
Birthday
to
gift,
PAX,
yep.
so I can comment on the fact that if I had one on the table, it'd be my OLED. However, I refuse
Yeah, we
to
all
get
just-
rid of my launch model Switch purely because it's the one compatible with Nintendo Labo.
Yep.
Yeah, we all just happened to have our Switches on us at the
This
time.
is an OLED.
I put mine out there. And
launch day Switches.
I mean,
That was
it
a
was
really good move, Silver. That was great.
it was a spur of the moment thing that I just did. And I'm like, yeah.
The launch day Switch I mentioned is currently plugged in and on actually on my TV.
Mine's my bag currently because I still have to figure it out.
I just
Yep.
really love this question. So
I had to bring both to PAX because one was for playing, one was for running the Labo challenges.
Okay, great question. Very good question. I've personally decided to retire my Switch One. It's given me a lot of great years. It still is useful, honestly. But personally, I'd rather give it like a nice, good new place on the shelf that it's docked, transfer myself to a Switch 2. Like there are some things that are still a little bit wrong with it. It takes time to boot up. All the fan parts right here, kind of like what's up with time to do overheating. I don't like kickstand very much, really. But it's done me.
I feel like especially people who got the OLED really forgot how awful that kickstand
The kickstand, it was interesting, but like over time, it just was like,
After I got my Switch 2,
just don't think it worked. Oh, and there's where that curtain.
The Kirby walked in.
Oh, yeah, the Kirby.
I could not stop laughing, and I had to physically try and not look at that Kirby cosplayer because I could not get over it.
I was like, what the hell is that one?
Kirby came in at like towards the end, like when we were doing this Q&A. Like this.
So I really don't quite have it anymore.
But yeah, the Kirby cosplayer, like it was actually a big costume.
I was gonna say, if that person happens to watch this video, I apologize if that came across the wrong way, but genuinely, I could not stop laughing. I tried so hard, but it just, the way that you walked in with the giant costume, it just, I don't know, something about it just.
Like imagine like a huge curveball just walks on in here.
It's like it's like Kirby's just exuded life of the party energy.
Watch my stream. There's a picture of the Kirby.
All right, so we have another question. I think we have time for like one or two more. So let's do this one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bring my Switch anymore. Switch 2 is my replacement.
To return that is not returned yet on the Switch. Yeah, one of my main answers is also Star Fox.
We all said Star Fox.
I did not.
I did not either.
Well, a lot of people say Kid Icarus, like that was actually my answer, but I'm actually gonna go with a different answer. To be honest with you, I would like to see Nintendo go back in time and bring back Earthbound. Because I feel
always a crowd pleaser.
Go for remakes of all three games.
One day, Mother 3 will be free.
Yes.
I support every answer I've heard, including the audience's. But me, I'm just waiting for Level 5 to finish the Professor Layton game that they say they're making so that can finally
New World of Steam.
I already got my other game with Rhythm Heaven.
I'm just
waiting phenomenally well though. I know that.
I'm just waiting for the one person in chat to come in and say, "What about Star Tropics?"
Another answer I really want to see is Mario Baseball.
Yes, Mario Baseball.
That is my favorite Mario sports game, and I am so sad that we have not seen one since the Wii.
There was rumors, but
see, if that direct had not happened, like Rhythm would have been an answer.
I mean, Star Fox was kind of my main answer. Not even as someone who's played a lot of it, but who's played enough of it.
That was a good move, Rick. Putting Star Fox 3 times. That was great.
Yeah, Advance Wars. Like, it's time for a new Advance Wars game.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we have under a minute, so we're gonna have to do this one pretty rapid fire. But I would say a good final one to do, and let's just make this like a quick answer. Is what is your favorite Switch game that's under $10?
Comico.
Favorites?
I legit could not think of one.
There it
I
is.
probably shouldn't have done this question last. That's my fault.
That's fine.
Land 1 and 2 is currently.
Oh yeah, Evil Land. Yes, I saw them do the second.
Such good games.
I didn't want to
They really
say
are
this
good.
during the panel, but I also played Evil Land, and I don't know, it just didn't agree with me.
The first one or the second one?
The first one is
The second one especially. It just dragged on for far too long.
It does take a while to get going, yeah.
Yeah.
And it does start to drag a lot near the end too. The middle is pretty
Before
tight.
chat
Yeah.
says anything, I know that Luminous is at least $15, unless it's on sale. I qualified my answer.
I forget, did I say just any arcade archives?
You did, yes.
Yeah.
I grabbed the one that had the highest rating out of the area that I was looking for.
That
Yeah. The highest rating being Bubble Bobble.
Ah. Everyone else said one game. I mentioned 301, or whatever, however many it is.
Oh, wait, I just found one. I should have said a short hike.
Oh, yeah, Yeah. Well,
and there we go. That's it.
That was it. Like, that was fun. Well,
that was great.
I'm gonna make sure to put this up on YouTube tonight. And tomorrow I'm gonna premiere it tomorrow on YouTube as well because, all right, let me at least close this and switch over to the just chatting scene right here for a minute. But yeah, so my thing is this with this panel. So we got some time before because the Mario Kart DS thing doesn't start till 9. So, so. What were some things that you guys originally would have suggested to be a part of this panel that, in terms of like topics that didn't make it in?
I've said it a bunch before, but I really do wish we had a panel on Super Smash Bros. Or not a panel, a slide on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yeah. I really think that is like one of the greatest video games of all time, just for the sheer fact that it had that many characters and IPs in a crossover. We will never see something like that again, and I think that is a monumental feat that is worthy of praise, even if you don't like the game.
The sheer magnitude of it is incredible, and honestly, one of the things that the DLC did really well. I think I commented on this during like a recent Smash stream that I was doing with Brawl, but most Smash fighters, like everyone's got their own movesets and things, but they all function in pretty similar ways for the most part. There's a few exceptions here and there, like Yoshi has some slightly different, his up B doesn't really work the same as others, and Mega Man kind of has his physical and special attack style moves kind of reversed a little bit, and like little things like that. But then you get to the DLC where there was a pretty big emphasis in there on third-party fighting characters, and the resurgence of like different play styles altogether in there, where you wind up with like Ryu and Ken, who have a few like actual Street Fighter combos in there. You get Terry, who's got some, what is that? Fatal Fury. Has a couple like mechanical pieces from that in there too, and like they got really like referential, not just in like the characters and their moves, but like how you use them in the first place. The hero from Dragon Quest having a literal spell menu to choose from, like really interesting, intricate stuff that you literally would not get with any other fighting franchise at all.
Yep. The Smash team also just knows how to make these characters like feel like they were lifted from their games in such a respectful way. It's both the magnitude and the quality. Because like, there's a lot of crossovers in Fortnite or whatever, but I honestly feel like it feels a little slapdash a lot of the time. Smash, you can tell that they put attention to detail in it, and it is wonderful.
Yeah, these aren't just skins.
These are stages to have Minecraft blocks.
Yeah, that must have taken actually a pretty significant amount of effort to do, because they had so many arenas already at that point. It's like, okay, we have to now make all of this make sense in that framework so that we can release one fighter. Like that's a
the Super Smash Bros. team. The Super Smash Bros. Team looking at Kirby again after every single DLC fighter gets added, and just insert a picture of horror.
Hey, now Kirby has a gun.
And yes, that is true. Thanks, Joker.
I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna post this image again because I just think this is funny. Like when we were just checking out like the actual footage, and then all of a sudden there was the Rick jump scare.
Oh yeah. I'll have to share the very last frame of the very last frame of the video. It's just me looking like right in at the last second.
In terms of other things that I actually wanted to add, one thing I wanted to add that would have followed up from after the talk about like the educational and like the developmental stuff with the Labo and the Game Builder Garage, I would have also had a slide specifically for Ring Fit, and I don't know why I didn't do it, but because Ring Fit was very successful on the Switch, but not only that, but a lot of people actually did use it for their workout routines, and while not exactly published by Nintendo, we also had the fitness boxing games. Oh no, they were published by Nintendo, but they weren't developed by Nintendo.
Not made.
They were published in North America and PAL regions.
Yes, but they were popular because people actually did use them for the workout routines as well. But a lot of people, the favorite ones being like the Hatsune Miku and the Fist of the North Star ones.
Well, for about 3 years, the most episodes we ever had for a single series on our channel was me through most of 2020 playing Ring Fit Adventure like 4 or 5 times a week. It would literally, I would get up and do that before work, and then I would put the video up as like kind of a, hey, I could do with losing some weight, and this game seems pretty cool. Let's see if we can. And the results were actually pretty decent. They weren't like life-changing, but it was still like, okay, I could see how doing this and not worrying about like cameras and all that shit and doing it for an even longer term could be like a really positive, actually life-changing amount of like help in that sort of thing. And I think especially it came out that like they obviously didn't know at the time. It came out, the end of 2019, start of 2020, before the pandemic. And once the pandemic came out, people were like, I need something to do while I'm at home. And Ring Fit Adventure wound up being like perfect to kind of slot in for that.
Man, between Animal Crossing New Horizons and Ring Fit Adventure, Nintendo released like a 1-2 punch of the perfect pandemic games. That is some luck right there.
Yes.
I also want to ask,
boxing was the 1-2 punch.
That's true.
Yep.
Do we know if the Ring Fit Adventure team was the same as the Wii Fit team? Because it feels like it is a lot of the same mechanics.
I would have to imagine so, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find
I might
out.
look that up later. Or if anyone in the chat knows, if any of the chats, let me know.
Like, so another thing I want to bring up was that there was also an absence on a certain series, mainly because while it's always been a popular series, but in the Switch gen, it was very polarizing for one reason or another, and that series being Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
Because while yes, we had Pokemon Legends Arceus, that one was extremely well received. Unfortunately, there was a lot of controversy going in with Pokemon Sword and Shield, mainly because of the whole bring back the National Dex thing.
Yep, good old Dexit.
I was very vocal about it at the time. I've cooled off considerably now, but
yeah. And
it just was such a bummer for them to be like, we're bringing this from the handheld finally to the consoles properly. And like you would assume that would come with like everything is bigger and huger and more everything, and then there's that caveat that comes with it, and it's just kind of like, ooh, it just like it felt a little bit rough to have them be like, by the way, half of these Pokemon aren't actually going to be usable at all. And I'm like, oh.
I like how you said bigger and huger, and then we got Dynamaxing.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
And then it's like from between that,
thank you,
and then it's between that and then like when Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out, and then like because the sad thing is that game is amazing in terms of the Pokemon that they had. I really like the story. I really like a lot of the new characters. I love the setting, the music. A lot of the challenges were really great. It could have potentially have been my favorite Pokemon game in the series if it wasn't for all the performance issues, which completely inexcusable with how they handle it. But thankfully now on Switch 2, if you're playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, from what I'm seeing, everything looks to be running smoothly. It's 60 frames now, and everything else seems to be working the way that it was actually supposed to.
Right. I want to interject real quick. I know we have to Wii Fit because since what we asked. So Hiroshi Matsunaga has been director of every single Wii Fit game and also Ring Fit Adventure.
Yep.
I rest my case.
Yeah.
Ring Fit was a great showcase for tabletop mode, in my opinion. Because I never used tabletop mode a lot. It was mostly docked or handheld for me. But Ring Fit was an example where, okay, I need to see what's going on in the game, but I want to work out while I listen to something or we'll put something on the TV. So I pull it out of the dock. I use the nice OLED kickstand, and there you go.
Wait, I think I've ever seen this, Rick.
Oh, what was that?
I think I've ever seen that video.
Oh, man.
Charmeleon,
it's the most perfect accidental comedic timing with all of that. It was beautiful.
And then it's all downhill from here.
It's all downhill. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's the thing. Pokemon was kind of like
in a weird spot back then. Like,
yeah, like this generation, like because Scarlet and Violet to me is a better game than Sword and Shield. I just think that the performance issues are what hurt it. But hopefully that people are going to go back to playing Sword and Shield, not Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet. And now that with the performance issues are seemingly fixed on Switch 2, hopefully that people will be a lot more fonder to this game. Than they look a lot more fondly, compared to Sword and Shield, or especially compared to how Scarlet and Violet were on Switch.
No, absolutely. Like I feel like from what I've seen from Nintendo today, I'm like, wow, like it does entice me to go back to play and finish, Scarlet, because I have Pokemon Scarlet, to go back and finish, because like I think, like, looking back, like it was the performance that really was a turn off. Like I remember, like, they were trying to do this, like, kind of like Breath of the Wild, like pan to the Vista moment. I'm like, it was not hitting me the same way that they thought they were doing it, because like it was choppy and the textures weren't loading, and I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Like this isn't it here.
If you're gonna do one of those Vista shots, it has to look good.
It has to look good, and it just looked like crap.
Yeah,
it really did. Yes. I
also think the gyms not scaling was kind of a misstep. Like, hey, big open world, go where you want to go, except, oh, wait a minute, that gym's going to be level 50 no matter what you do, so you might as well save it for later.
It does seem trivial to be like, okay, this gym, we're going to have 8 different teams coded in, and depending on the number of badges, you'll get a different thing. It's like, okay, not hard to add essentially 50 trainers or so's worth of extra, data in this thing, but I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like the best Pokemon game that was made by Game Freak this generation on Switch is Legends Arceus. Easily the best.
Easily.
Yeah. We'll see how Legends ZA is once it comes out. But it's like the only other thing that I've actually considered adding to the panel, but decided against it, mainly because of timing, and also like I figured that maybe like it would be redundant to actually like bring it up. I've actually wanted to know, like, going into the whole thing where we were talking about like taking the active franchises to the next level. It's basically just adding an additional slide where it would have had more games. Like that's where like Wonder probably would have been. That's where like a couple of other like first party Nintendo games that have like completely evolved from like previous games. Because the thing is, when we talked about Wonder, like the thing is this, that people were tired and had the fatigue of the New Super Mario Bros. Games for years, because the problem on New Super Mario Bros. 2 and New Super Mario Bros. U came out like very close to each other, and they weren't like, there were some differences, but there were people who were starting to feel fatigued because it's like playing one after the other. But
it starts feeling like level packs after a while. Like if you played Mario 3, one of the best games of all time, hell yeah, awesome. But then over the next like 4-ish years, you got 3 more Mario 3s. It does start to lose a little bit of its luster when you're like, okay, but I've done this already. I've done basically all of this. It's just been different levels, but it's been done. And like there wasn't really, in my opinion, enough innovation in the new Super Mario Brothers series of games, even aside from like they all looked. If you showed someone a screenshot from one of those games, they may have like a 50% chance of guessing correctly which of the 4 that it's from, or 5, including New Super Luigi.
Yeah, Super Luigi, yeah.
So like it's nice to put a fresh coat of paint on there. I feel the same that I do about New Super Mario Brothers in terms of its just blurring togetherness as I do for like the visual appeal of Donkey Kong in his Rareware form in the 2010s. Yeah. Something about I love the Rareware design, but they were trying to make him do more stuff and be more expressive, and like that model was just, it's too plastic and wooden in my opinion to really do what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I actually would like to bring up
I'll say it still goes off of like what they made on those Silicon Graphics like workstations from years ago. You know.
Yeah.
I actually would like to bring up two examples of games that I feel like were trying to innovate in the same way that Mario Odyssey did, but kind of just did not work. Well, actually, one game that really didn't work and one game that I consider a lateral move. The one game that really didn't work was Yoshi's Crafted World. I don't really know what happened there, but I just didn't really like that game at all. Especially 100%ing, that was miserable. The fact that they expected you to play each level 5 times is insane. No game should require that. And honestly, the levels themselves were not that great. I mean, the visuals were really phenomenal, but playing it, I don't know. I just didn't think it really innovated that much.
I think Woolly World still clears it.
Oh yeah, Woolly World is an excellent game. I really enjoyed that. Those levels were very creative and it felt fun to play. Also, you didn't have to play each level 5 times. That's definitely a plus. Right. I would also say this is sort of a lateral move. Nintendo Switch Sports. I didn't dislike that game as much as other people did. I thought that it had some really cool ideas. I did like Chambara quite a lot. Its return from Wii Sports Resort was quite welcome. I just think there needed to be a little more single player content, honestly. There wasn't a ton in Wii Sports, granted, but it was a lot more excusable when it's a pack-in title versus a full-priced game. Because Wii Sports Club did not sell that well.
Yeah, Wii Sports Club was not a good idea.
I don't think single player was really the breaker of that game, but I think there were certain odd restrictions on what you could do online multiplayer, and that's like the game's main focus. So like, sure, I like playing the new soccer game that they've got in there quite a bit, but when I try and connect with friends around it, it's like, no, you can't do a 4v4 soccer match because you can only let 4 people in the lobby.
Also, I don't know if it was just me, but golf just did not work in that game. For whatever reason, the controls felt very imprecise, and I couldn't play it.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's no option to just bowl. You go into bowling, you have to do survival, which means if you're not cutting it the first few frames, then you're out, which is a great option because maybe you don't want to play the full frame if you're losing that bad. But
also like the motion of bowling, they changed it from Wii Sports where like usually when you pull back and go forward, you'd have to like you'd have to let go of the button or like just like thrust it forward, or you have to hold on. I think you have to hold on to it the entire time.
It's the B button that you and then you like let go.
I don't know why
the
they
front
changed
to release.
that.
It's more to avoid like another case of like people throwing shit into their TVs like like because like don't like that.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I wanted to is like I wanted to like put this into the panel, but I didn't find a way to pepper it in some way. I was gonna ask the audience like like out of how many million sellers are there on Switch from I guess like Nintendo related.
Ooh.
Like
a poll that would have been really cool.
Yeah, do you guys want to guess the number?
How many just games in general or Nintendo developed or?
I said Nintendo developed just to be safe. Like
25.
No, way more, buddy. Million.
Million sellers.
Well, no, I actually do know the number of million sellers.
I'll say 41.
It's over 70.
81.
Oh my god!
I know the number of million sellers off the top of my head because I was literally looking at this Wikipedia page right before this podcast. So I know it's 102 because I literally just looked at it not even an hour ago.
Yeah, 102 like when you include like third party, but like when it comes to like Nintendo stuff, it's 81.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah,
god damn.
Yeah, no, it is nuts. Like literally, like almost like anything Nintendo threw there. Engage, Mario Kart Live, Miitopia, Get Together, like Astral Chain, Big Brain Academy, like they sold at least 1 million.
Yeah,
that is wild.
It is nutty. Like to say that there was a renaissance is like really understandable because like it sold gangbusters.
Yeah,
like and like the top 5 basically like it's 68 million, 42 million, 36 million, 32 million, 29 million. And that's 8 Deluxe, Animal Crossing, Smash Brothers, Breath of the Wild, and Odyssey.
I was gonna say I thought I remembered seeing on the latest like financial reports they put out every quarter. I think that they just crossed 500 million games sold for the console.
For like software sales. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
I would have liked
outrageously
to
huge
do-
number.
Like
I would have liked to do a section on like games that should have sold better, because then I could have done a Sushi Striker rant, because people don't enjoy Sushi Striker enough.
Absolutely. Like
It's a good game.
I think it's one game where I did get it like around launch, but I still have not played it. I've only played the demo of it, and also I remember playing the 3DS version at Nintendo New York, because they had a demo for it.
Yep.
Like, man, like again, like they threw a lot of stuff at that, and it just sold. Like it really had the install base. It sold like crazy.
Yeah,
exactly. People will just buy like anything like after so many years. Because the thing is that like when you look at the Wii, like the Wii did very well, but the problem is that the software attach rate for a lot of Nintendo's games weren't anywhere near as high as the ones that were on Switch. Like like there were some games like Wii Sports was a pack-in title for pretty much everywhere except in Japan.
Right.
But
the DS held the record for like software sales, because it was like 940 million. The Switch is 1.3 billion.
Yes.
Jeez. Is it the second best-selling console of all time yet, or is it still losing to the DS and the DS2?
It's still behind the DS, because the DS
so
is
it's
4 million.
Third in that case?
It's third right now.
Third.
It will. I'm just gonna say it. Like, it will be number 2 by the end of this year. Like, they're not going to stop selling Switch ones. It's not going to be. It's not just going to stop altogether. Especially with they've still got major titles coming out, like Pokemon Legends ZA, Metroid Prime 4, Rhythm Heaven, Tamagotchi Life. Like there's or Tomodachi Life. There's still a lot of life left in it. I think that it still has a real chance of crossing the PS4. PS2.
The PS2. Just don't have Sony shit to couch for more units sold. Because like when they dropped that, we sold 160 million. I'm like, you bullshitters.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. They'll raise it again.
Because the last time they updated those numbers was after the PS2 was discontinued. So it's like, where are these magical 5 million coming from?
I have no idea. But what I think is
discounted clearly.
Yeah,
I think that was their argument, that they had gone back through and checked the books, and it's like, okay, sure.
Real quick,
if they do it again, then they're just doing that.
Real quick, Max, do you still have the list of like questions from the Q&A?
Yeah, I can pull that up from the Google form. I know we after the panel, we all went to dinner, and I read a lot of those panels, but a lot of those questions. But I can pull them up again.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, like the only thing I'll say about that dinner was I'm never having jalapeno peppers ever again.
Oh man, yeah.
I
felt so bad, man.
Like, because I thought you knew, but then you took the bite, and like it went like this.
I did not realize.
I wasn't sure.
Fun fact, by the way.
All right, I got him up. Do you want me to read like certain questions, or like what do?
Before you do, what were you going to say, Rick?
I was going to say we had that slide about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the 67.95. Was that the number?
It got outdated.
Is it past 70 now?
It's close.
It's still under. It's like 68.
Okay,
it's just a slight increase.
So 68 million units sold means that it outsold the NES as a console. Like it sold more games than that sold systems.
Wild. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I'm looking at the official thing. That is correct.
It was loaded nachos, Derek.
Yeah, loaded nachos that had jalapenos in them. And then I'm still also laughing because my taquitos came in, but they looked like churros from a distance. And and Azra was like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "Those are churro bites." I'm like, they looked like cannolis. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, oh wait, those are kilos. They pass them over.
Yep.
Because the queso fresco, like whatever, it looks like freaking like powdered sugar on it.
It did.
Or ricotta.
Yeah, or ricotta. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, like regarding the questions, Max, you ready for that?
Yeah.
Let's focus mainly on the questions that didn't get answered.
Sure, I can read some of those again. I know we already answered them, but I can do that again. Let's see. Some good ones. Oh, I really wish we answered this one. Opinions about Nintendo Switch Online.
Okay, so Nintendo Switch Online, in terms of opinions, all right, I can answer this one real quick. It at first, like when it came out, I remember people were not happy with the price. Like it was $20 a year, and it's just people because for so long when it comes to online gaming with Nintendo that they had everything for free, and it was where like it started on the Switch where it was paid. Granted, they had a free trial that lasted for over a year and a half because they weren't ready to launch the full service just yet. We had to wait until 2018 to do it. So at first it was one of those things where like, yeah, it could have been better. Now it's definitely like the best value like out of like all the big three right now.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like right now, like it seems like as if like NSO like it did start off rough. Like I remember from the Nintendo NY like Switch presentation, like it was the thing I remember that got booed at the the Wolf viewing, and it took some time to really get somewhere because like the selection was just very slim. Initially, they were doing it on a week basis. Like the benefits hadn't really stacked up as yet, but in time it's gotten to become a very formidable service. And now, I think like me, Pete, and a couple of friends are on our family plan. So we've paid like a good amount of money, together as like a group rather than sing it solo. So it's basically been a really phenomenal deal for us to have like NSO expansion pack plus.
Yep, and I'm the dad of the family plan.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it is.
I really
Is
wanted
that
to
why
mention
your
this
big
during the
daddy
panel.
shell
But
shock?
Yep. Oh, what
I
happened,
didn't
Max?
get to mention this during the panel, but I really wanted to. But something that I just do is I actually have beaten every Nintendo Switch Online game.
Nice.
And the reason I do that is because, and basically whenever a new one gets added, I just beat it. And the reason I do that is because I think it has given me a perspective on like retro games that I never would have gotten otherwise. I've experienced so many new things in general, and I got introduced to so many new franchises, found so many new favorites in a way that I don't think I would have gotten through like Virtual Console, for example. And I agree, it was pretty bad when it launched, and the drip feed was annoying. But the fact that they dropped games, like once a month basically, is actually what allows me to do this. That is the only reason I can beat all these games is because I have a substantial amount of time in between them. So maybe my perspective is a little bit different, but I didn't hate the drip feed necessarily just because it allowed me to play every Switch Online game. That being said, I wish the initial offering was larger. However, that doesn't really matter now because holy crap, the amount of games on Switch Online is insane. And I mean, at this point, it's bigger than Virtual Console, if I remember correctly.
It's getting up there, I'd say, but
It's
I think
getting up there.
it's starting to outpace it. Like there's still some missing ones, but like it's starting to reach that point now.
Well,
Yep.
Considering we're getting GameCube, which wasn't on Virtual Console, I definitely think by the end of the Switch 2, we're going to have orders of magnitude more games than the Switch, than Virtual Console had.
Right.
So
It'll definitely surpass it in time.
the one like bummer that kind of stuck out to me was that like so we got especially what's now the Nintendo Classics, which there's like we're all talking about, there's a ton of options on there, tons you can play, but it also was the second time in 2 consecutive generations that they were stepping away from their previous like format for bringing back classic titles, because you had the Wii Virtual Console, like we're talking about, huge, tons of options, tons of stuff, and then you kind of had a little bit like Wii U sort of had the Virtual Console, sort of had eShop offerings, and it was like kind of floating in between a little bit.
Yeah,
And then now we jump over to the Switch and we've got Nintendo Classics, and like the lack of like a way to transfer some of that stuff over, especially for the Wii Virtual Console, you were spending money on points to buy those games. So those are individual purchases that you don't get to keep anymore. And it's just like, it's kind of a bummer that they never figured out some kind of, even if it's like, hell, $1 a game to be able to transfer as many compatible ones as possible over to the Wii U or over to the Switch or something. I'm sure there's like architectural reasons in the consoles for why that would have been a big deal, but it was just kind of a bummer that they don't have like the Wii U had the Wii menu option to kind of help emulate the stuff that the Wii used to be able to do. And yeah, I don't know. It just like there were so many games on there, and anytime you spend money on stuff and it suddenly just stops functioning the way that it had been. It's just kind of like man, really? So
Yeah,
that's a totally fair criticism. I will say that I'm very thankful that we are not starting over with the Switch 2. We are
Yes.
keep going.
Yeah, big time.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That is
There's
very
only-
convenient.
it's going to continue. We're just only adding to it with the GameCube. And
They got a lot of GameCube games to go through, so I'm definitely not concerned about that. I also want to mention, and this is a more recent addition, but I'm very glad they started offering DLC through Nintendo Switch Online as well. Launching that with the Booster Course Pass was a very, very smart move.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Taking a page from Sony's book on that, they used to part of the reason the PS3 did as well as it ultimately did was because at the time it was the cheapest Blu-ray player you could get. And Sony were the ones producing Blu-ray discs and Blu-ray movies. So they wound up like just tightly coiling all this stuff around itself as like, okay, we want you to buy our new awesome super high-def movies. And we happen to be selling the easiest way to watch them as a video game console if it interests you.
Yeah.
So shrewd marketing on their part. And Nintendo, I think, got wise to the idea of kind of synergizing their stuff together like that.
yes,
Right.
Also, Nintendo Music. Nintendo Music rules. I really like it.
But okay, look now.
Uh-oh.
I know that you're like the drip feed isn't that bad, especially when you're actually doing everything on the service. But like Nintendo
That's
Music
true.
is the one that should not be drip feeding as slow as it is.
I completely agree with you. That there's no excuse. for that.
Again, I only hope that like it's probably not gonna happen. But like it would have been awesome if like they're like, hey, the day Market Road drops, drop the whole soundtrack with it. Like I would have like loved to have like some of those remixes like on like Nintendo Music app like immediately.
Yeah.
But like the drip
And
feed is
also-
interesting, but like it's just sometimes like, it's gonna be fun. Sometimes it's just like, hey, here's an NES game with like 24 minutes of music. Here you go. See you next week. I'm like, that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's true.
want
The weeks
those.
where we
I
get
do
like an
want
NES
those, but-
game are very disappointing. Like Super Mario.
Right
Like
now.
I love the Super Mario Bros. 2 soundtrack, but it's like, all right, this soundtrack is
Right.
like 12 minutes long.
When they dropped Kid Icarus, I'm like, uprising, please, like,
yes.
not a great soundtrack, like, what,
And
oh my God.
I know they're gonna upload the update the next one in a few minutes, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's almost time.
I would say like let's do one more question before we wrap it up because Mario Kart DS thing is going to start for me soon, and Rick as well.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we'll do one more. Let's talk about the one that we would have shut that down the moment that we saw that
yeah.
question.
Oh boy.
Let's
Oh.
talk about that one.
All right, so I should preface the reason why I wanted to do this QR code thing was because at multiple panels now I have seen people ask questions that I don't want to say are inappropriate, but like shouldn't
Some of them
really
are.
have been
Some of
asked
them
at
are.
that time. Some of them are inappropriate. I agree. In this case, I just think it wasn't really the right time or place to ask it. So because we had the QR code, we could just simply not read the question, which was very convenient. In this case, the question was thoughts on emulators like Cemu, Dolphin, and Pretendo, which I did not want to answer that question at a panel. I'm going to be honest with you.
Does Pretendo
Right.
even count as an emulator?
No, it's more of like it's not more of an alternate, but I'm pretty sure they.
And that's
It's an
another
emulated
reason why I didn't
service,
want
you
to
could
answer
argue,
that
but-
question was because the way that question was phrased. I'll read the exact words. Thoughts on emulators like Cemu and Dolphin? 2 question marks. What about Pretendo? And it did make Pretendo sound like an emulator, even though it is not.
It's
so
not.
That alone made me think, all right, definitely not asking this question. No offense to the person who asked it, but just maybe don't ask about emulators like that at a video game console panel.
And
I'm happy to kind of cut through the bullshit on the emulator discussion in terms of like, so what was the name of the Switch emulator that got shut down that was paired with Citra?
Yuzu.
Yeah. So I like me personally, I don't have any problem with emulation in general. I don't think most people generally do. And emulation itself, like console emulation, is completely legal so long as, all of that. The problem for them wound up being I mean, aside from it's enough of a gray area with how it's handled already on the internet, the problem was on the Discord of these developers, they were disseminating ROMs amongst like everybody basically in some cases before games launched, which like I understand if you're developing an emulator, you're probably looking for this stuff ahead of time because you're like, I need to make sure the emulator is compatible with all the stuff that's going on here. I get that. I don't have any issue with that. The problem becomes once you start spreading those links around, that's where the problem comes in. And the second anybody finds out about that, your ass is cooked. Like,
right. I want to cut you off, but like
no, go for it.
My issue really was just that, like, my personal side when it comes to emulation is that, like, and anything that's like before a certain point in time, is open season. Like, GameCube, N64, backwards. I've been open more to doing Wii. I haven't done Wii U yet, whatever. But it always felt really weird that like we were like emulating for the Switch right as it was out. Like for me, I always felt it as like a retro activity of like something that's like before, generations before. But now it was like on like basically the like same day, like we're launching a game. It's on Yuzu, it's on Ryujin, and I'm like, does that not feel like, is this really truly emulation for emulation's sake, or is this just piracy, like really and truly? Because like some people were kind of like masking that under like essential like the need to preserve games, which I think was honestly it's a terrible response, because like I do support game preservation, but I don't like it in the sense of like we're using it as a smokescreen for piracy of games, and there were multiple subreddits on Reddit that were meant to facilitate piracy. Were like, and like I understand the need. Like my problem with my problem with it now has been just the weird justification that because we're running this on a quote unquote inferior system, we as the players deserve to run it on a better system, so and so. Like it's always been like the entitlement and the arrogance that I just never gelled with, because I like I was never like anti-user or anti-using. Like I like seeing like those progress reports. Like, I like reading the Dolphin progress reports. But the more I like dug into the community, the more it was just like a very spiteful kind of like very much like, oh, like don't be a simp to these corporations, and like it never really just rung to me as like something that was like sincere at all. It just like it was just a smokescreen for pirating games. And then the moment they got caught, because they did float like close to sun, like Nintendo had the evidence to hit them dead to rights. Because remember when Tears of the Kingdom like leaked, Yuzu's like Patreon earnings went up significantly on like they directly profited from that leak, and that's what got them axed. Like they flew incredibly close to the sun, and people thought that they weren't going to get burned by it, because they're like, I feel like the thing is like
gotten caught yet, and it's like
I'm gonna like that's not poking the bear, because like emulation's been great for years and years since the days of Bleem and Connectix. Like why would you try to challenge that precedent and keep trying to poke the bear? And like, because like at the end of the day, like you're gonna like ruin things for everyone else. And you're gonna like maybe and I'm saying like you could establish like new precedent with like, hey, maybe this can criminalize emulation in the future. Like we should be able to like keep these things safe for us. Like you're gonna keep poking the bear and keep ruining things for everyone, because like clearly there are people who want to make sure that this is available for future generations to come. But if your guys is, I don't want to play games on the Switch, I want to play it on a Steam Deck or on my PC, I don't think you should be playing those games.
Well, like it carries so much extra damage too, aside from the fact that shit like this is the reason that DRM is so pervasive and all over the place.
That's a great point.
But on top of that too, what makes it worse is when it's couched behind, and in my personal opinion, this is a subjective thought here, but like whenever someone winds up getting found out for like a large amount of piracy or whatever, and then follows it up with, but this is, you want to preserve games, right? And it's like, I find that a little bit insulting as someone who really does work to try to preserve whatever I can find for games in one way or another, because like it just delegitimizes an already extremely difficult effort as is. Like the video game preservation stuff that's out there, a great example being Proto Dude and Rockman Corner and all of that like cluster of folks who have been working on preserving cell phone games out of Japan, a lot of Mega Man ones and some other ones as well. These are things that require a huge amount of effort to maintain and to get a hold of, and they're literally building emulators essentially so these games that have been dead for 20 plus years are doable again. And like that I find to be a pretty noble effort, and it's a thankless job a lot of the time, and it's a ton of time and energy for not a huge amount of like return in terms of like, you know, I don't know if they have like you know, Patreon style stuff in terms of like supporting those movements, but then you have the other side where it's like, oh, here's a game that comes out in 2 weeks, want to play it now? And it's like putting that behind the shield of like, oh, we're doing good work, we're preserving a game because it might go away, and it's like that's not how this works.
Right.
I would like to give a shout out to Rockman Cosmo and everyone at Scilab Secrets. Y'all rule, and the work you're putting into preserving those mobile games is unbelievable. Great job, guys. Keep it up.
Absolutely.
We're gonna be playing the 2 network games at some point as a thanks to their tireless efforts.
Yep.
Have fun with them. I've beaten the first one. It is a lot more fun than you would think for a mobile game.
Excellent.
Yep.
But again, can you see why I didn't want this question to be asked at the panel?
Yeah. Huge can of worms to open up.
Huge can of worms we do not want, and it would not be good because and also keep in mind that the person who asked that question, their username was the eyeballs.
They obfuscated the fact that they didn't want to be identified, which I understand.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
It was a dynamite question that you know, throw dynamite, run away like that. Like it was already a touchy subject as is, especially considering like recently enough, you know, regions got nailed too. So and of course the whole stuff with the Switch 2 and the EULA and everything, like it was just like a cluster of like just bad information and like just weird anti-Nintendo sentiment, if I could call it that. Really, like it's just a firestorm that we didn't want to be a part of.
Yeah, but
I highly encourage everyone who's hosting panels with Q&As, try the QR code method. It works a lot better than live Q&A, honestly.
100%. I'll leave it with one last thing regarding that before we wrap it up. If you're gonna get like you could be upset with companies having certain control over how they handle like their own EULA. But I'll say this real quick. If you're going to boycott the Switch 2 because of that the EULA that they have, might as well do the same thing for PlayStation and Xbox consoles because they have the same fucking shit.
Yep.
And even Valve has it. Epic Game Store, they have that. So the single out Nintendo only for this shows that like you know exactly where your priorities lie. Like you only just want to single out one company. You might as well have that same energy for all companies because you know that if you do that, if you choose to boycott all those companies, you're not going to have anything to play on. So, so just think about that.
Keep that same energy for all those other companies. I know Nintendo is a trading thing to hate right now, but like it's right now it's just really phony.
Exactly. All right. So with that out of the way, I just want to say that was an amazing panel that we did. If anybody's coming here now and haven't had a chance to watch it yet, it's going to be up on YouTube soon. I'm gonna start uploading it like right now, like after we're done with this, but like as I'm getting ready for the Mario Kart DS. But I want to say once again, Silver, Max, Rick, Azran, thank you so much for being a part of this panel. It means a whole lot to me that you guys have joined. This was the first panel that I've submitted on my own. I've been a guest on multiple panels, but this is the first time I've ever done it on my own. Again, thank you so much. I'm really glad to have all 4 of you here with me for this.
Thank you so much for having us.
You did a great job setting this all up, and this was a ton of fun. Yeah. This was like one of the highlights of PAX for me. Thanks again for having me on.
Yes.
It definitely added to my first PAX ever, and crazy thing that almost never happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Down to the wire,
Glad they realized what they'd be missing out on, or however it came to be.
Right.
Yep. All right. So.
All right.
I'm gonna get ready.
Yeah, I know. Like Rick and Shell got the break for their Mario Kart DS. I'm still going to be on my side playing regulators. So we're gonna take a break all around here. So we'll disperse. Stick around for various games on all the sides here. So yeah.
All right. So in a bit. All right. Take care, guys. Everyone.